sit by me and listen well. Today I want to share a story that's been going through my mind for some time. Get comfortable as I tell you the first of my many Prismatales. What if empires took place all in Hermes' imagination? In Greek mythology, Hermes is known as both the son of Zeus, the trickster of the great pantheon, and the herald of gods, or the messenger of Zeus to the mortal realm. The god has the power to travel between the world of the mortals and the realm of the gods upon Mount Olympus. In myths such as the famous epic poem Homer's The Odyssey, Hermes is also depicted as the guide to the underworld, bringing souls to the river Styx to be guided into Hades' domain. Now think about Hermes from the world of empires. While you may only see an armor stand wearing leather armor and a shulker head, I think it's amazing that Joel and Sausage have had a lot of imagination with their character that started out as a simple prank. According to the law, after mythical Sausage, protector of sanctuary, and Smallish Beans, the god of the sky, brought Hermes into the world through the use of divine magic, the two fathers shared custody over the demigod. Naturally, having two fathers meant that Hermes would constantly be swapped between his homes in both Stratos and Sanctuary. Much like the Hermes in the Greek mythos, Empire's Hermes has also served as a great herald torn between the worlds of the divine and mortals, as he has helped trade messages between his father, Joel, who is clearly a god, with his older father, Sausage, who is truly mortal. But unlike the god presented in Greek mythology, who is often presented as a young man or even an adult, the Hermes we all know and love is still really young. He's still learning who he really is, and while both of his fathers adore Hermes and, want what's best for him, I can't help but wonder if being stuck between two worlds of Sanctuary and Stratos has been hard on the little guy. But even when we struggle with our biggest insecurities, solace can always be found in the imagination. Hermes always loved playing with toys. His father Joel, once a human being who ascended to godhood after taking a dip in a magical fountain, always brought the little guy a new action figure anytime he came home from work at Joel's toy barn. You see, aside from being a full-time god, Joel also ran an action figure business on the side to pay the expensive bills that came with running an empire in the sky. Working two jobs meant Joel never had as much time as he would have liked to spend with his son. By bringing home an action figure every day for the boy, Joel was sparing himself a little bit of guilt of never having enough time to see the little Hermes. Thankfully, Hermes was often visited by his auntie Lizzie, a strange lady who always carried an aroma that smelled suspiciously like kitty kibble. Hermes just assumed that Lizzie was a crazy cat lady, and boy was he right about that. Anyways, Lizzie and Hermes always got into all sorts of trouble while Joel was away at work. The duo would waste the days away creating "you must be 12 feet tall to enter here" signs, and Hermes is the trickster god after all. Even his own thunder father wasn't off the hook. Hermes had many toys to call that he loved to show Auntie Lizzie anytime she came over to play. Hermes showed her his favorite collection of them all. He had a magical monster-slaying princess doll complete with battle axe accessory, a colorful bard with a lute that played his own music at the push of a button, a cool witch who came with her own chemistry set, a little archaeologist with a beginner's guide to preserving the past. But his very favorite toy, without a doubt, had to be the sheriff, a best-selling action figure from the toy barn that always had just a mildly grumpy look on his face. Hermes thought it was funny because it almost looked like the figure hated the fact that it was, in fact, a toy itself. Hermes and Lizzie would go on countless adventures together with the toys, pretending to be pirates and royalty and gods. These were good times for Hermes. They were a chance for him to laugh while telling stories of wars, pranks, friendships, and mysteries to be solved. These were times for the lads to get lost in the adventures of fantasy. But after those adventures were over and Lizzie had to go home, Hermes was back in the real world. Joel would come home later that night, exhausted from another day of business and excited to finally see his boy. But Hermes was almost always off to bed by that point. Then came the weekends, where Joel would send little Hermes off to the Empire of Sanctuary to see his good old mortal dad, a mythical Sausage. Anytime he was with Sausage, Hermes was welcome with open arms. Hermes always loved having the opportunity to scratch bubbles in her favorite spot behind the ear, or to meet his grandpa Eddie and do some blacksmithing with an old rabbit. And of course, he brought his toys along with him. After telling Sausage about his toys and the adventures they had been on, Sausage had one suggestion mission for his son. In typical sausage fashion, he suggested that Hermes needed more law to the stories he plays out. One day, Sausage went out to a different toy store, far away from the land of Stratos, and when he got home, Sausage gifted Hermes some limited edition toys that Hermes had never seen before. There was a strange-looking cod-eyed boy in a red sweater, a brown-haired boy with the biggest smile on his face, and a man covered in moss with big anime eyes. Hermes loved this one a lot because the demigod loved to watch anime. According to the official law, Hermes even canonically knows Japanese because he loves to watch anime so much. Anyways, Hermes found that some of the new toys, strangely enough, looked similar to his architect and Sun Princess toys he usually played with. But I mean, the more the merrier, so what the heck? Sausage and Hermes were playing together with the toys, old and new, telling stories of alternate realities, tears in space, time, mysterious supercomputers, and new friendships being formed. This was another escape from reality. The Emperor figures made him laugh and they made him cry. The Hermit toys brought their own unique features and playstyles to the stories being told. But after the weekend was over, Hermes would wave goodbye to the Earth family as he traveled his way back to the Empire in the sky. Back to the same old boring days of real life. One day, Joel finally snapped. The god couldn't stand to not see his son anymore. He couldn't just keep bringing Hermes a toy home every day so that his son could escape to the world of fantasy. Joel knew that he had to be there in reality for his son. So without any hesitation, the god boarded up the front doors of Joel's toy barn and headed over to Hermit's little house. Little did Joel know what to expect when he got home. Hermes was gone. In a panic, Joel frantically searched all over Stratos, high and low, begging to the gods, which included himself of course, that his son was okay. It was only after about an hour of searching that it dawned on Joel. He knew exactly where Hermes was. Of course, the Empire of Sanctuary. Dashing over to the land of mythical sausage, Joel of course found Hermes, playing with his toys with Bubbles snuggled up by his side. When Joel asked how Hermes got there, Sausage told the god that Hermes said Joel told him he could come over to play, which was clearly not the case. With no other options, Joel went over to his Hermes, who was pulling the sheriff's pull cord and laughing up a storm. Before Joel could say anything, Demigod looked up and saw his father. Running over to the god of the sky, Hermes threw his army around Joel, screaming, "Daddy!" in delight. As Sausage and Eddie watched on with smiles on their faces, Joel crouched down on the ground. "This is my favorite toy," Joel said as he pulled the sheriff's pull string, his voice box emanating. "You're my favorite deputy." "Mine too," Hermes said. Joel and Hermes played for the rest of the afternoon, and the god refused to ever let his work get in the way of spending time with his boy ever again. And you know what? For some odd reason, the grumpy look on the sheriff's face had turned into a smile. Whether or not it was because he was happy for Hermes or because Joel closed down the toy barn remains to be seen. But that's a story for another time.